Om Akhanda Mandalakaram Vyaptam Yen Characharam Tatpadam Darshidam Yen Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Ajnanatimirandasya Jananjanam Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yen Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Mahesh, Guru Sakshat Parabrahm Tasmai Shri Guru. Going down to the Gurus. Now, I'm going to explain to you what I mentioned in the morning, the shortest Upanishad that you can find, which is Mandukya. Now, some people hold that if you listen carefully to the Upanishad and don't even do anything else, if you are lucky and if you are qualified in different ways, you might grasp the truth. Because it's called Shruti. I told you the Mandukya has only 12 slokas. 12. And it's a very important Upanishad. So important that the acharyas, the teachers, among them Shankara, then Ramanuja, then Madhva, everybody has written or at least discussed the Mandukya. Shankara has written an elaborate commentary on the Mandukya. We call a commentary a Karika. And his guru's guru, Gaudapada, has written an elaborate commentary, Karika, on the Mandukya. Because of which, some people suspect that he was a Buddhist. Because his concept of the Supreme goes very close to the Shunya Vada of the Buddhists. Not really so, but it looks like that sometimes, which is okay. So, you must have heard the common meaning of the word Om, right? Most of us, at least in India, I think sometimes I find some people have read more of the Indian scriptures than Indians. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So, the Om that we chant, which is considered the Pranava, the first basic sound that gives life to any mantra, which is why it's called Pranava, the Om. And in the Mandukya Upanishad, for instance, or in the Katha Upanishad especially, the great Lord of Death, Yamadeva, says to the young seeker Nachiketas, "Oh Nachiketas, there is a link between this and that, and the link is Om." So it's a very important sound. So you have to study Pranava in three ways. One, as a pure sound, free of all denominations, pure sound. And two, the popular definition that we know of, where Om is divided into A, U and Im. Im meaning Ma. So A-U-M, so Om. Usually Om, right. So when normally it's discussed, we say A stands for, this is commonly held, everybody knows mostly, it's for creation. Brahma, the creator. The whole creation of nature, the world, the first thought that is created in the mind, everything to begin is A. Even a person who is dumb, who cannot speak, can say A. So, the beginning. Now the U in the middle, it's the continuation of that which has been created or which has originated, let's put it that way. We don't want to think of a creator God. So something that has originated and continuing to be there, sustained, without getting destroyed. That is the U. So it's chanted to the middle of the mouth. U. A. U. And then the Ma. Om. The Ma representing the end. Is once you say Om, then you have to open your mouth again to say anything else. So it's, for the time being, it's over. It's finished. So, distraction, which I would call it regeneration rather than distraction. Because if the old cannot be finished off, there will be no space for the new. The natural process. Right? So, the beginning, the growth, and end. Also individually in all our lives it's the same. You come out saying ah, you live saying ooh, and you die saying So, it's the same. So, this is the usual, but the Mandukya Upanishad picks up the same Om and gives it a completely new meaning, a new understanding. As I said, the Mandukya does not discuss what technique to do, what not to do, what life, what laws to follow, what not, no, nothing. It just discusses the different states of consciousness common to all human beings. So, according to the Mandukya, the sound A of the pranava represents the waking state of consciousness, which is common to all human beings. Waking. I hope we are all awake in the afternoon session. So, A represents the waking state of consciousness. You know that, it's quite common. Everybody knows what is waking state of consciousness. Although Shankara feels that even though we are awake, we are asleep. But that's a different matter. Now, the second, U, represents, look at this. The waking state is mostly the state in which we are most of the time. Then the U represents what the Upanishad calls Tejasa or Swapnavastha. Swapna means a dream that we understand. We all have dreams, night dreams, day dreams, we all have dreams. So, it is the dream state. So why is it called Tejasa? Because even though during sleep there are no lights and it is dark, the eyes are closed, we see the dream as if it's fully illumined, Tejas. So it's called Tejasa, that which is lit spontaneously, without any external agency. Right? This is common to all of us. Now, it's very interesting to note that the dream state, you study the waking state, is not that difficult to study. Study the dream state, then you begin to wonder, because, in the dream, actually, while you're dreaming, would anybody believe that it's a dream? No. When you wake up, well, it's a dream. Not when you're dreaming. And it's so real that if in the dream you've been chased by a tiger, or here, wild boar, tiger here. So, when you wake up, you're still looking behind to see if it's still chasing you. It's so real. And your blood pressure, your heartbeat, your perspiring, Because it's so, so real. Even when you come to the Jagrata Avastha, the waking state. The Jagrata Avastha is the waking state. So, there was this great king, Janaka, supposed to be the father of Sita, father, and the Raja Rishi, who was a king but at the same time a Rishi. Rishi meaning a highly evolved sage. So Janaka, the king of Videha, had a dream. So his guru was Yajnavalkya, his teacher was Yajnavalkya, the great Rishi Yajnavalkya. He had a dream in which he dreamt that he was a beggar, a homeless beggar, no food, no clothes, proper clothes, shivering in the cold, lying on the bed. It was a long drawn dream. And then he woke up and found that he was in the palace, in the midst of a luxurious, all luxuries, in a lovely bed and so on. The remote to move it up and down. I don't know, maybe. And then he woke up and he had this question, what if my dream had continued so long? I would have lived thinking I'm a beggar, but I wake up, I'm not a beggar, I'm a king, which is the reality, because it was so real. So when his guru, the great sage Yajnavalkya, arrived, he asked him, Sir, please explain this to me. Is this a dream or is that? Because here I think everything is real. There I thought everything was real. And now I find that it is a delusion. Except that that was short and this is long. But then in the dream I did not feel that it was short. So which is the reality? And then Yajnavalkya explains to him that there is a state when you wake up from this dream which you call waking state and you say, oh my God, what a long dream it was. He said, if I tell you now, you won't believe it. How? You won't believe a dream is a dream when you are dreaming, right? So anyway, this is not the story from the Mandukya. So the Mandukya Upanishad therefore describes the waking state, which is the dream state, which is U. I was just explaining the dream state. And the the ending, as Shushupti, the deep sleep state, which is also common to all of us. So it starts with goes on to dream, and then that is the sound of deep sleep, dreamless sleep. Shushupti. And if you look at it from the point of view of a person who is awake, this dreamless deep sleep is also very peculiar. Why? Because you don't know where you are, you don't know who you are, you have no contact with the outer world, you are not dreaming, therefore you have no contact with the inner world, there is no outward cognition, there is no inward cognition, there is a mass of consciousness which is not even aware that it exists. Sushupti, the deep sleep state. And yet it seems to be so real because everybody goes into deep sleep. And when you come out, then you're awake, and all these rest of the things happen. But in that sleep, you know why sleep is essential for us to rejuvenate the body. If you ask a doctor, they'll tell you that after an accident or when you are convalescing, sleep is very important. Because when you are in deep sleep, the mind does not interfere with you. It doesn't say, oh, you are a big man or a great person and the nurse is just pulling the sheet off. You don't even know who you are or where you are or what's happening to you. Otherwise you walk into a crowd, you feel very upset, nobody recognizes me. It is good actually, you can hide. That's not what we think, right? So, in deep sleep, all are equal. The owner of the company, the CEO, and the man who works at the security counter, they all sleep. And in sleep, they're all equal. Perhaps the other guy sleeps better than the CEO because the CEO has many other thoughts going on. He might need to pop a tablet to sleep. The other guy is so tired he lies down and is fast asleep. Deep sleep. And it's a common state for all human beings. Watch. Right? In Palestine, the Arabs sleep. In Israel, the Israelis sleep. In Pakistan, they sleep. In India, they sleep. In Russia, they sleep. In Ukraine, they sleep. If they can sleep with all these bombs going on. So, sleep as a common factor for all human beings. Now the question is, so are these three states the only common states for human beings? The Upanishad asks the question, is there something more than that? Okay, let's look at it this way. I won't tell you the name of that which is beyond deep sleep right now, lest you think you're in it already. So, Upanishad says that if you look at deep sleep, while you're in deep sleep, of course you're not aware of anything. You're not saying, I am in deep sleep. No. At the same time, when you're about to wake up after a deep sleep in the morning, you know that. You keep an alarm, it goes off. You switch it off and again you sleep. You turn around, look for the pillow. Again it goes, again you are. Why? Because it's so enjoyable. Right? You have a memory of that joy. At that moment you don't feel it. But somewhere there is in the subconscious a memory of that wonderful joy. So you don't want to actually wake up and go out and face whatever, your boss or your employee or whoever. No, you like to go back into it, which means it certainly was a blissful experience. We wake up and say, what a blissful sleep. But while you're asleep, you're not aware of that. When you are waking up, in the border between waking and there's somebody who is feeling, that was so enjoyable, I need to go back to this. So, the Upanishad argues that there is someone who is enjoying the sleep, but is not aware at that moment of that enjoyment. It's as if he is heavily drugged so that he doesn't register this. And what is the drug? The drug is the attachment and the desires of this world. If someone who has no desire, who is completely free of longing for anything at all, goes into deep sleep, according to the Upanishad, is aware, he or she, of that bliss. Now if you can even conceive of a state where in deep sleep you wake up inside, not outside, and say, this is called Turiya. State called Turiya. Well, the Upanishad says it's common also to all human beings, but they don't realize it. The waking up and experiencing deep sleep state with full awareness is Turiya. Unfortunately, you cannot reach it by sleeping. Then it would have been great. It's like when the mind is free of all its agitations, as Patanjali puts it, chitta vritti nirodha, when all the vrittis of the mind are gone, and it is silent. Such a mind, if it goes to sleep, is not in sleep but is in Turiya. But without that, you can't attain Turiya through deep sleep. Other way around. And that Turiya, that state, the Upanishads say, the Rishis say that when you touch that, you realize that the I is not a small I sitting here and it's everywhere. You wonder if this is possible. Well, it has been made possible by many known and unknown people. When that is touched, there is no special separate identity. Everything is one. I and my father are one. Everything is one. Now, this state of Turiya is what we seek. And because we seek, it always eludes. Right? So is there a way to seek that which is all-pervading? Suppose something is there and I am here and I want to seek that. There's a linear way to follow, right? I need to go from here there. Now what if what I seek is here, there and everywhere, how do I seek it? Just think about it carefully. It's joyous even to think about it. You don't move anywhere. You don't grasp. There is no linear movement. When all movement stops, then you realize it is here. Where am I looking for? And that state, when you touch that, is known as Turiya. And represented in the Om by the Ardhamatra, the last sound, which is called the soundless sound, like when I say Om, it's not over, it's going on, and in the alphabet it's represented as a small crescent with a dot on it. Just like when you ring a bell and then you stop ringing the bell, it goes on until the time where your ear stops picking up the frequency. Bell is not stopped. I can't pick it up. It's gone beyond my frequency. No sound made on this earth ever ends. It's there. But it's gone beyond my understanding, my grasping capacity. This is what we seek. And the yogi feels, the yogi thinks that by silencing his pranas, which are active over the different nadis, channels, the mind becomes free of all its frequencies and all its undulations, all its ups and downs, and becomes absolutely silent. Now, in that silence, you touch what is your true reality, which you can call the Atman, or you can call it as a state, Turiya, or Samadhi, the different names given to it, or because of the total freedom that you experience. It's called moksha, freedom. So you see, it's possible for all. Not possible just for me or another person. Possible. Why is it that we don't? Because we think it's impossible. It's possible. We have to be free of the thought that only some people can do it. It may not be possible for me because I am an ordinary. There are no ordinary human beings. All are extraordinary. Potentially. So, this is the message. So please, when you go away from here, don't think you're common, you're uncommon. You have the potential to touch the essence of life, a sense of being, a sense of your true freedom. There is no other freedom except the internal freedom. Externally one is never free. Something or the other binds you. But inside you can be completely free. This is the message. So, how is it connected to the practices, the sadhana that you do? The first essential is to calm the mind, to free it from all vrittis. How is that done in yoga? We believe that as long as the prana is functioning without any control through all the nadis, certainly the mind cannot be free of vrittis, of agitation. So we try to bring it together into a certain system where it moves according to your will. You don't move according to the will of prana. So prana comes under your control. I'll give you an example. You cannot control your circulation, blood circulation, right? Generally. It's autonomous. It happens by itself. You also cannot control your digestion. Happens by itself. Heart, it beats by itself. But there is one important function in us which normally happens voluntarily, but can also involuntarily, but can also be controlled voluntarily. Only one function in us. What is that? The breath. Other things you cannot. But breath, even though normally when you are born you don't say breathe, it breathes. Okay? And when you are dead it stopped. In the state where I come from there's a pancharai, that means punctured, finished. There's no air, gone. In Gujarat they say off ho gaya, finished, off, finished. So you can't stop, it's gone. And when you start breathing, you don't say breathe, breathes. At the same time, you have also voluntary control over your breath. That's one function which you can control. You can say to the breath, instead of breathing, breathe slowly. The more you give attention to your breath, you go closer to that which is controlling your breath. We can consciously alter our breathing patterns. That's one thing in our hands. And Yogi says that if you can control your breathing pattern, you can control the process of thought, you can still it, you can increase it, you can do what you want with your thought process if you know how to first learn the principles of breath first, and then know how to make it a voluntary action. And the more it slows down, there are less number of thoughts. Because thought and breath are intimately connected to each other. Example, when you are very agitated, watch your breath. It's usually very agitated. When you're calm and quiet, many times we are calm and quiet without any reason also. Not as if we are not accustomed to that. Sometimes it happens. Watch your breath. The rhythm is very slow and nice. In fact, the yogis even measure your lifespan depending on the number of times you breathe in and out. You look at these little creatures that die regularly. Well, yoga is not for that, but I'm saying. If, somebody might think it's only for longevity, Look at these little creatures which die in 2 days, they breathe very fast. You look at creatures that live for 100 years, like the elephant, their breath pattern is very slow. So if you can slow down your breath, you probably can lengthen your life Provided you're healthy, there's no point in having 100 years of suffering. Right? So, breath is such an important thing to which we don't give any attention. You can live without food for some time. You can live without water for some time. Without breath, half a minute, 1 minute. Unless you are a great yogi who doesn't need to breathe. Please don't try that. Might hasten death. But because the yogi has direct control over his prana, and therefore the necessity for breathing could be eliminated. It is not a forced thing. It can't be done like that. So, therefore, the science of breathing, attending to the breath, so that the breath being intimately connected to the prana, life force, it's not the same, the life force. The prana becomes quiet. When the prana is quietened, and is ultimately fully quiet when it is moving through the Sushumna Nadi. That prana which moves through the Sushumna Nadi, the central channel in the spine, is called Kundalini, or it's also called Mukhya Prana, most important prana. So, the whole process of training in Kriya, for instance, where a lot of breath work, working with the breath, is to alter the movement of your thought, make it still and quiet, and change its frequency, so that you're able to open your mind to unconditioned experiences. So the first necessity is quietening, chitta vritti nirodha, getting the mind free of all its disturbances, all its, opposing thoughts and tensions and everything. And in that calm state is the first necessity, is the tarmac from which you take off to the higher levels of existence, where you begin to understand your true nature and so on and so forth. This is part of Kriya. So when you learn Kriya, you see that you breathe in a certain way, that it changes your mind functions, it makes your mind quiet. The other important experience that you get when your mind is still and quiet is a blissful feeling that comes from inside, not from outside. You begin to enjoy it. Once you begin to enjoy it, then you're hooked. Then nobody can take you away from it. Till then, it's hard work. I hope you got what I mean. Now, if you have any questions for this half an hour discussion, we can take it up.
So the last time I'd asked you a question, and you'd given a beautiful answer, and I've actually meditated on that for 2 years.
Was that I didn't ask?
I'd asked you a question that, initially the human mind always needs something to hold on to.
Yes.
Right? So when you sit down, first the mind is on the stress of the body,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Then it's on the breath.
Yes.
When the breath then starts becoming subtle, it starts becoming subtle.
Subtle and slow.
You feel the light, cold and warm currents going through. Then one finds that the breath, attention on the breath itself becomes a hindrance.
Becomes a hindrance, okay.
Then I had asked you this question that you start seeing something here in the Ajna. I'd asked you, what do you do with it? You said, go inside it, right? I tried. It starts moving here and there. Last 2 years, it settled down. I can see it like a friend. It's a distant friend. I try to go close to it, it moves back. doesn't go here, doesn't go there, stays there. What next?
Nothing.
Seriously? Is that the sequence?
No, stay with that. Don't get impatient with that. Stay with that, settle down. When you feel a little bit unsettled with that, go back to your breath. Then it will take you back there. So stay with it and keep your windows open. And patiently wait for the breeze to blow.
So then there's nothing I can do, it has to come.
You cannot do a thing. You stay there in that place. In that place where you have, stay there. And see what will come after a while. Nobody can say today, tomorrow, after 6 months. No one can say. So this is where patience is of the essence. But then we get agitated. I want more experience. You see this? By saying that I want more experience, new experience and so on, you would successfully stall what is going to happen. You see this? There are two ways of looking at it. One is, I have a wonderful experience today, suppose. Everything is settled down, it's blissful, peaceful, there's a gentle breeze blowing as if from inside. Nice, okay? Tomorrow I sit down and I want the same thing to happen, by which I am very successfully stalling that which is going to happen tomorrow. Because when I want the same thing imitate, this is the habit of the mind. When it enjoys something, it wants a repetition. So my suggestion is, on one hand, do not try when you sit every day to duplicate what you felt yesterday. And two, do not ask for something new because you don't know what is new. So if you can suspend that and stay on with what's happening to you, one day then next time when you come to see me, you will say, "Sir, I'm not coming for any satsangs anymore." Say, "Why?" It's all over. I'll be happy, seriously. I wish this happens to somebody. As long as you don't set up shop, I'm quite happy.
No such ambitions.
No, I know. I'm joking. Yes, sir.
So, I'm not window shopping here, like you explained, but since childhood, I kind of knew that I didn't want to be reborn.
Say that again.
I said since I was a child, I kind of knew that I didn't want to be reborn. So, will this Kriya ultimately, instead of even taking to Turiya, help me not be reborn? Or do I have to go to that, for example, the final Kriya that Babaji told you to do, so you take your own life willfully, and then, because that's what they say, if you take your life willfully, you don't come back. But if you die naturally, then you'll have to come back in the cycle. So I wanted to know, will this ultimately help me to burn the karmas off so I don't have to come back here?
I hope we have been listening to the satsangs from yesterday, today.
I've been listening to your satsang since 3 years now.
So, what is it that I've been saying? Have I not been saying the same thing? That you need to be free of this cycle of coming and going?
Yes.
And this is the aim.
Okay.
So, it's not only the Kriya, any sadhana that you do is meant to finally stop this cycle. Only if you don't like this cycle. If you love this cycle, come as many times as you... I was once talking to, having a satsang near the river Bethua river in Madhya Pradesh. We were all sitting on the rocks and talking. Small group. Circus had not yet started. So it was a very small group, and just discussing it. And we called it Satsang on the rocks. And one lady asked me, She said, I can't understand this obsession with not wanting to come back. I want to come back because I enjoy my food. And this is the lady whose husband has been paralyzed for 3-4 years on a wheelchair, and she's looking after him, and she has all the suffering in the world. She wants to come back. So, it's pointless if you want to be free, if you still feel you want to come back. If you feel you don't want to, well, then that's what it leads to.
Okay. So I don't need to worry about third, fourth, fifth level of Kriya.
But why would you do all that?
Because that's what people said, that you have to have the final secret Kriya to finally ascend and not come back. So that's
Look,
why.
there's only one secret. The secret is, the whole secret is found in your own self. There's no other secret. And of course, there are some major Kriyas which you would probably learn, and there are some minor Kriyas which may be added or may not be added. It's not required. It's for the teacher to decide whether one needs anything. One need not say, because I don't have that Kriya, I have not attained moksha. No. So there is a simple Kriya by which you can go right up to the top. You don't... Okay, so sit down. I need to finish this. No, major question, he doesn't want to come back, I'm glad. I won't be with you there. Don't look for more and more techniques. It doesn't work that way. Whatever you have, stay centered on that. More than enough for you. And if you have a teacher, the teacher knows what you need. That will be given to you. You don't have to look, you know what I mean. That's what I meant by window shopping, not otherwise. You can go and explore, no harm. But more and more techniques. It's like Walmart. I have one thing here. I go, it's like, so, many of you must have heard of this great yogi called Lahiri Mahashaya. India, so everybody knows, not everybody, some people don't know. So, Lahiri Shamacharan Lahiri was a great yogi. I think one of the great yogis of all time. So he had he also practiced Kriya Yoga, for your information. I'm not saying because of that, but yes. And he had a disciple who was a very learned professor. So he gave him the Kriya technique. I'm going to give you much more, so I don't ask for more than that. He gave him the simple Kriya technique, which we call Hamsa. Hamsa technique. It's a very simple technique. If you cannot do the whole Kriya, you can just do it Hamsa. And people having done Hamsa have gone right up to the stage where they don't have to come back also. You don't have to add anything. So, this is the first step they give in Kriya. So, Lahiri Mahashaya gave him, this professor, the Kriya. Hamsa Kriya. He practiced it for 3 weeks. And then he came back. And he kept asking him, when are you going to give me the next Kriya? Again he came back after 4 weeks. When are you going to give me the next Kriya? So Lahiri Mahashaya had a technique which I can't do. If somebody asks a question which he doesn't want to, he'll just keep quiet. I can't do that. So he kept quiet. And then one day when the professor had come and he had just asked the same question, when will you give me the next Kriya technique? There was a postman, mailman, who was given the Hamsa at the same time as the professor. So the mailman, his name was Bhagat. Brinda. So Brinda appeared with his bag of mail. And the professor had just asked the question and Masha was quiet. Then when Brinda came, he said, "Hey Brinda, come here." So he asked him, "When shall I give you the next step in Kriya?" And Brinda put both his hands up. He said, "Please don't give me anything more. I can't handle this." He says, "Now in the morning when I wake up and do my hang saw and come out, my neighbors have begun to think that I start drinking from the morning. Because I can't walk, I'm tottering. A powerful intoxication goes up my spine and I don't know what to do with this. I'm thinking of resigning from the job because I can't anymore deliver letters. And you're asking me, when shall I give you the second? Please keep it with yourself. I'll tell you." So Lahiri Masha, I told the professor, "You heard?" And hopefully he got the message. So it's not that... As we are on the subject, I told you that when the breath becomes still, then the soul is free. The mind is free. Because when the breath is quiet, there is no movement in the mind. Can't be artificially done by holding your breath. But there is a state where it happens by itself. It may happen for short, maybe 1 minute, half a minute sometimes, when you're not doing any breathing or any pranayam. Suddenly everything is still. There's no inhalation, there's no exhalation. That's when your mind becomes still and goes deep within. We call it the Kevala Kumbhak. But great yogis who have been doing Kriya for a long time can also stop breathing. Don't try it. If you want to try it, then do all your insurance and everything properly. Write down the nominee in the bank account and so on. So anyway, why I'm going to, again, since we are on the Lahiri Mahashaya subject, I want to tell you what happened once to Lahiri Mahashaya. So his very dear friend, his old friend's son, became a doctor. So he was going to join the medical service in Banaras. So his father told him that when you go to Banaras, please go and meet my friend, dear friend Lahiri. Take his blessings, he's a holy man. He didn't know anything about it. He was a holy man. And then go join your service. So he said, okay. So he went with his doctor's bag and so on, and was allowed to go into Lahiri Mahashaya's parlour, where he was sitting as usual, cross-legged. So he went to him and he said, "Sir, I am so-and-so's son. My father said to take your blessings, and I'm going to join the medical college here in the hospital." So Lahiri Mahasaya, very good, very good. Okay, he said, blessings. And then he said, "So according to you doctors, what are the signs of death?" He said, a strange question, this guy. And he didn't know anything because not even wearing a shirt, sitting with the dhoti like this. So he said, "Well, sir, first the breath stops, heart stops beating, no pulse, and after a while the solar plexus also gets cold. Then we say somebody is clinically dead. We watch for a while and say he's clinically dead. Oh, he said, so have you got your stats and all those things? Yes. Okay, he said, now I'm going to sit here quietly. Can you test me out? He said, okay. So Maharshi took 2 breaths, became still. The guy waited for a while, then put the stat to. No heartbeat. He tried again 3 times. It can't stop for so long. So no heartbeat. Okay? No pulse. He said, what is going on? So then he waited for some time and he touched the solar plexus and the head. Everything has become cold, completely cold. He still waited for a few minutes. Then he started shouting. He said, "This man is dead." He said. But he couldn't understand why he sat down and died. But this man is dead. The entire family came in and said, "Can you stop shouting? He'll come back after a while." So we are quite accustomed to this, don't worry. Yeah. So after about 10 minutes, nobody dies and come 10 minutes, then he came back. Then this man said, "No, what just now happened? I can't place this." He said, "The medical profession has to study more about these things." Good, blessings, go and practice. Yes. So, why I'm saying this is that the breath is key to this. When you have the breath with you, you can do anything. You can direct it where you want, you can do what you want. You go closer to that being who operates the breath and switches it off when you say you're dead. Yes, you had some.
So, is it okay to practice Kriya when you're also doing other things? Like I do Gayatri mantra a lot and I focus only on it. And I've started seeing circles, I've started seeing a lot of things. And is it okay to actually have additional things?
Which Gayatri do you chant? Vedic Gayatri or the Tantric Gayatri?
The Tripada Gayatri. The Tripada Gayatri. The
Vedic Gayatri.
Yeah.
No harm at all. Actually, it's good to chant the Gayatri. But if you're chanting the Gayatri, do you do the entire Sandhya Vandana
Yes, I do the full
procedure
Sandhya
or you
Vandanam.
only chant the Gayatri?
Yes, and I have actually gone, yes, I do the whole Sandhya Vandanam and then I do the Gayatri, and then I've earlier on I used to stand and do it, but then I realized my body has to be fully calm, so I sit and do it. And then I've also started making sure that I only focus on the Akshara, not on anything else, and I think it's everything. And that's how I chanted, and I've seen, once in a while I've noticed that my breath has completely stopped, and then I come back later on, and then it's very hard to recreate these. And I've resisted the temptation.
Don't even attempt to recreate.
Yes. And I've stopped the attempt to going into other techniques and other stuff, because this is more than...
If you think it is self-sufficient, then you don't have to practice Kriya. However, if you think it will improve your process, then you could do the Kriya. Now, if you want to do the Kriya, my suggestion is first do the Kriya.
Okay.
See, when you do Sandhya Vandan, you also have pranayam, right?
Yes, we have pranayam.
Right. So, instead of that, you do the Kriya first. And then there is one part of Kriya where you have silent meditation. In that part, bring your Gayatri in.
Also.
No, see, instead of chanting the Gayatri before, do the Kriya and then chant the Gayatri.
Okay, but I have the whole step of the
Yes,
Gayatri,
so
everything else
do,
right from the Sandhya, the oblations and everything.
Do everything.
Yes.
But before doing that, prepare yourself by doing Kriya.
Okay, it's almost like instead of we do the pranayam to essentially do this, you're saying do the Kriya to help.
Do the Kriya and then do your...
Okay. So there's nothing wrong. And can you also do it separately? Can you do the
Kriya? You can
Kriya
also do it separately. How many times do you chant the Gayatri? 3 times a day or 2?
Sometimes 3, usually once.
Once. So if you're doing the Gayatri once, then the other time when you're not, do the Kriya.
Okay.
No harm. You will see that this helps that and that helps both.
Okay. So there's nothing wrong in doing.
Why would there be anything wrong with it?
No, in terms of interference and
No.
stuff. And can I ask a follow-up question? As you grow and more, you will feel almost like a revulsion towards a lot of things. And I'm pretty sure you would
Good if you feel it even when you're young. But anyway.
Yeah. So how have you handled it? Because it's like getting into an exalted place, having that, and then walking back into the ditch, into the gutter.
No, wait a minute. when you walk back from there, you also see that the diamond which you enjoy is also there in all the other people.
Yes, yes.
So you are not revolted by anything.
Okay.
In the beginning, yes, you feel that, oh, where have I come? But after a while, you see the same thing reflected in all. So you, instead of being revolted by it, you feel better, good by it.
Compassion for it almost.
I don't know, compassion is a big word, but at least affection.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
The idea is to lead a yogic life, is to live without revulsion and without attachment. In the middle, somewhere in the middle. So difficult. Generally when we say, I don't want to be attached, then you get revolted by it. Can we live in between somewhere? Huh? What? Yeah, please. Let's start a public life right away.
Okay, so if you're practicing Kriya, what's like the best time of the day to practice it?
Very practical question. Stay there, don't get worried. So, what is the best time to practice Kriya? If you are practicing Kriya. That's what she said. Yeah. So, the best time to practice Kriya is early in the morning, as early as you can, as long as it doesn't interfere with your daily life activities. If you go too early and you feel sleepy during the day, then it doesn't work. But try to go as early as you can. Dawn is the best time to practice Kriya. The other time is dusk, when the sun is setting. Good time. And also midday, when the shadows are lengthening. That's also Sandhya. So there are 3 times when you can practice Kriya, but as far as Kriya is concerned, there is no particular time that you definitely need to practice Kriya. You can practice, if you miss one day in the morning, you can practice later on at 10:30, 11, 12, whenever you want. One condition is that if you had a full meal, don't practice for 2.5 hours. 2.5. Suppose I had lunch, don't practice till, suppose I had lunch at 1 o'clock. So 2, 3, 3:30, after that you can practice. It's okay if you practice while you just had a full meal, no harm, but it will create digestive problems for you. So why would we do that? Midnight is also a good time to practice Kriya.
I have been trying for in the past years to practice detachment.
The what?
Detachment, to get detached. Whenever I'm attached to something and I'm emotional, I'm just trying to practice detachment.
Yes.
But I figure out that sometimes I have problems after that to go after my goals because you just started in that detachment mode. So I guess that it was a misunderstanding by how to stay detached, but in the same time to stay focused to my goals. And someone explained me, it's like, okay, then don't be attached to the journey to get to the goal, just look to the goal and go after it. But somehow I find difficult to to manage this. So do you have any inputs for me, how to be detached and try to stay calm, but in the same time to go after my...
Well, may I give you a completely different way out of this? Be totally attached to the journey, don't worry about the goal. The journey is as beautiful as the goal. So give complete attention to your journey. Look at every moment as important in your journey. Goal, if you're journeying properly, it will come anyway. You don't have to worry much about it. I'm not saying you shouldn't have a goal. Place a goal and then forget about it. Give complete attention to what you're doing. Exactly. Enjoy doing it. And then the goal will happen by itself. We don't have to worry about the goal. This is the meaning of Karma Yoga, actually. To work, the journey is as important as the goal. If your journey is right, the goal will automatically be great.
Sorry.
So it's like this. There is no human being who can live without an attachment. Believe me. So, when you get more attached to your inner realities, you get more detached to the outer realities. You need some focus, right? If the focus becomes interior, then you slowly get free of outward attachment. The inner thing becomes more important. And then when you experience something joyful within, then you're free.
So practically it's a switch from the outside to inside.
Yes.
Thank
Turn around. The whole thing is to turn around and look within. And be still. Somebody said, be still and know that you're God. How do I? Remove?
Like you had a great experience today?
Do you do?
It happens, yes.
Then?
So you have a great experience and you told me like remove it. Next time when you do,
I
forget
didn't
about
say
it.
remove it. I said don't expect the same thing to happen again. Not remove it. You know what I mean? Not consciously you can't remove it. What I meant was that tomorrow when you sit down, don't think that you need to imitate the same thing again. That's what I said. Have a free mind.
But it's
As if you're
is it
sitting
easy?
for the first time. You see, even the practice of Kriya or any other technique should not become old and rusty. Every day treat as a new day. Otherwise people practice and then they it become mechanical. You say that, this is the new adventure today. Mindset problem. So this is a new... M said that, but yes, that was some time ago, but now this is new. I'm going to do it as if I'm hearing this for the first time. And change is always something that happens now. If I say, look, I'm an angry man, I don't like it, not you, and I want to get rid of it, and eventually after some time I will be free of it, it doesn't work. Because I will not get rid of it. If I say I'm angry, I have to get rid of it now. Then it works. If it works at all, that's how it works. Because you know what happens? If saying that I will improve gradually is postponing change. You get what I mean? It's like I'm postponing it, keep it in the back of mind, I don't want to change, really. I'm saying maybe after a few days it will change. It's actually a postponement. If I have to change, I should say now. I'm very, well, I have a bad relationship with my intimate somebody, wife or husband. And I say gradually over the years I'm going to improve it. When? After the divorce? Can we do it now? So that's what I was trying to say. Thank you.